Hello. This video will be about the Black Panther movie, social development, manufacturing processes, black aspirations and Dune. So let's get started. And I promise you I'll try not to cry. Sargon did a critique of the film Black Panther. I haven't seen it yet, and actually I don't really have much of an inclination to do so. It sounds okay, but so far as I'm concerned, it's the sort of thing I'd probably end up watching on Netflix if we got a curry in and there isn't anything else on. However, that's just my taste. By all accounts, it's a competent film, well made and well acted. Sargon makes the valid critique that the film depicts a self-enclosed world in which there's no sign of the sort of social organisation or the scientific fabric that would make such a civilization possible. The accountants, the manufacturing industries, the mining, the transport, the communications, you know, all the boring stuff. And he said that this reduced his suspension of disbelief, which it would if you really thought about it, but then that isn't unusual for most American views of the world. The Klingons, for instance, live on a planet, not in a single country, and yet they all talk the same language and look the same, well, you know, at any one time anyway, and do the same things and use the same cultural and historical references, which is bloody amazing when you consider what a jumble humans are here on this planet. Same goes for Vulcan. American culture seems to take it for granted everyone out there, everywhere else, is just the same. There's also a well-established and particularly an American sci-fi tradition of ignoring the way societies operate. You get that high and low in the old Star Trek, for instance. How many societies did Captain Kirk come across where the men and women wandered about Elysian fields wearing togas and tunics and studded belts made of silver plastic? Where did the cloth and the plastic come from? It doesn't make itself. Same thing with the farming communities and the societies in which you see people in isolated planets but with guns and hoes, and I'm talking here about the agricultural implement. Who made all that stuff? Reality check. I do exclude Ursula Le Guin from this. She never forgot that societies need miners, metal workers, woodcutters, and the people who make the drills to put the rifling in the rifles. Oh, yeah. Just an aside, and I didn't intend to get into this, but let's consider Milton Friedman's pencil. Right. In case you haven't come across it before, Friedman uses this as an example of the miracle of international cooperation, even globalism. The graphite down the middle came from, well, it could have come from Brazil. The wood could be cedar from California. The rubber end could have come from Thailand. And the pencil itself could have been made in Nuremberg, in Germany. Apparently, Stadler have a huge factory there. I think it's touted as the biggest pencil factory in the world. And that's just the humble pencil. In that respect, the unrealistic society of Wakanda is no different from the social setup shown in the film Dune. There appears to be no industry there either. Indeed, the harsh climate of the place seems to make that positively impossible. And yet people have fine clothing as well as rough and rubber suits, and all sorts of sophisticated weaponry, vehicles of every sort, anti-gravity, and sophisticated medical facilities. In fact, the setup on Dune is very similar to what I surmise is the setup in Wakanda. in Dune, the most important commercial crop is spice, which allows people to navigate spaceships and upon which a whole economy depends. And in Wakanda, the MacGuffin is a herb, the juice of which confers upon anyone who survives it superhuman powers. And in both cases, the films are about a fight between vested interests for control over this single crop. So, anyway, I disagree with Sargon about the believability or unbelievability of the Wakanda universe. It's a science fiction film, and so far as I know, it's a pretty good one. And that's as far as it goes. What irritates me is that it's being seized upon by some black people and their allies, probably in The Guardian, as that it's some sort of proof of the superiority of black people. It's a made-up story, folks, and perhaps an exciting one, and perhaps good fun to watch. But it proves nothing more about black people than that it is perfectly possible to get a lot of good black actors all on the same set and all working to the script. In many ways, it might be a false dawn for black people, this film. It isn't technology that will save them, it's sort of magic. That's not a good thing to aim for. And although the actors are black, just take a look at the shots of the production company in action and the writers. You know, you'd have to be pretty desperate and have pretty low self-esteem to look at that film as an inspiration for your life. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, or it might have been Thomas Sowell, in fact, more likely to have been Sowell, who said that young black people aspire to be football stars and singers, professions in which very, very few actually make the big time. And they don't think of earning a steady, if somewhat pedestrian living as accountants and dentists. Oh, okay, not all. But the cultural pattern is set hard enough for someone of Sowell's stature to remark on it. I think this Black Panther frenzy is part of that. And actually, I don't think that's good.